I rebuilt it because it had kind of a cursed history with me, to be honest. So yeah, this is the 2007 Sunburst Squier Jagmaster I bought back in 2007, obviously, with a bonus from work. It was a bit of a cursed deal with the guitar shop. Basically, I bought a butterscotch telly when the Jagmaster I wanted sold from the store, and I loved the telly, and I still have it, and I still play it, but it kept, how do we put this? Basically, I mentioned I came to buy the Jagmaster, and they went and ordered another one, and they called me for 2 weeks straight trying to get me to come in and buy this thing, and I was like, okay, fine. Come in, fork over my $300, and bring this home. It wouldn't stay in tune, it wouldn't play well, it played like crap. It was Sunburst. It was one of the mid-2000s models of Jagmaster. The one with the Strat trem and the 24-inch scale conversion neck on it with only 21 frets. So I had that guitar for several years. I played it in a kind of fairly well-known but not very reputable Seattle band that had, during that time, I used it at one show and it just went out of tune the entire show because I didn't have time to prep it. And it was, of course, because a certain guy in the band said, well, you need a Floyd Rose to stay in tune, man. This guy was always out of tune and just drove me batshit insane with the tuning crap. When I usually found it was him that was out. I even had a tuner on my board, and pretty much all my strings were in tune. His were all messed up. I got tired of that, and then I brought this into a horror rock band that didn't invite me to their last gig for reasons unknown, and so I went ahead and went, okay, fine. Let's rebuild this thing. So that's what I did. So the neck on this went to the Eddie Van Halen Project guitar, which kind of was the video that kind of respawned the channel. All of a sudden I posted that video and everybody was rolling on back. And it was kind of like, maybe I should start posting again? I don't know. Should I? So, it's been really tough trying to do that. And I've made probably about like 40 different videos between here and there where basically I deleted everything because I didn't like how it turned out, or I felt it was coming across too angry or too cocky or too stupid or whatever. I am not the world's greatest public speaker, alright? Honestly, you could probably sign me up for a Toastmasters class and they'd probably kick me out. So anyway, what I did was I took the Jagmaster, I put the neck on the Van Halen Project, stripped this down. I was originally going to use the original pick guard, but then my Dremel had a dull bit and screwed up and messed up the rhythm circuit section, so I replaced the pick guard, I repainted it, I used a pastel green color, pastel green acrylic paint. You could buy it in powder form, I think at like Michael's, the craft store. So I got that green paint and then I used it as a stain. If you look really close, the paint is literally almost like my Hondo Paul Dean. It's actually got a really nice grain. It's not a perfect clear coat. I had like this glass coat, clear coat stuff on it that I sprayed on, and I sprayed regular clear coat over it and then polished it up with automotive polish. I didn't do a whole lot of wet sanding because I was like, this is going to get played, it's going to get worn out, and it'll actually look good with the wear and tear anyway. I don't relic my guitars. I don't relic my guitars for a reason. That's because I'd rather they tell their own story rather than a story of this guy's been jangling the keys on it at the factory to make it look beat up. All my stuff's beat up because I played it a lot. So, body was done. Electronics, I knew what I wanted to do. When I redid the Jagmaster for the one band back in like 2017, 2016, I put in these, first I put in a phase switch, then I moved the knob up to a Jazzmaster-like position, but was a little further ahead. And all these were right here, and then I added the two toggles for tri-mode after I built my Mad Right guitar and did the same thing because I'd figured out how to do a three-way switching on the series link on the humbuckers so I could get multiple types of tones out of the same circuit. using just 2 pickups. And then I wanted a rhythm circuit because I like the rhythm circuit. I actually use a rhythm circuit on guitars like Jazzmasters and Jaguars. I find it great for synthesizer tones, and so that's kind of where this build came into the picture. We did all that. We did all the electronics. We did all switching. It's got a Chinese neck on it. $65 Chinese neck. The Jagmaster logo on the headstock is a Fender sticker I cut out and then put a Dymo labels around it. I have the original Squier serial number on the back. I used the Fender logo because I felt like this kind of looked like something Fender would maybe do in their modern series. Maybe a little more extreme. And then I went with a Chinese Floyd Rose vibrato, which I lost one of the blocks for. If you look at the high E saddle, you can see I had to fabricate my own string block for that side because it's somewhere in here on the floor and it fell somewhere between when the original high E broke. And I had to file this because there was a, not a burr, but literally there was a little shelf right before the high E string comes out here on the locking nut. And so when I was clamping it down, it was literally bending it into a Z, and then it caused it to break one time when I used the whammy bar. So that's kind of the tweaks I had to do. I also had to completely file and cut this for the locking nut. And the tuners are these Wilkinson tuners I'm trying out. They have this kind of, I would call it poor man's locking tuner thing where it's drilled one way and then perpendicular the other way, and you're supposed to like wrap the string in an S in there to lock the tuner. It doesn't really, I tried it out, I didn't really like it. It made restringing the guitar a lot harder, so I went back to just stringing it up the regular way through one hole and then just let the prickly bit stick out there and bend it over the top, a la what Stu Mack kind of teaches. Of course, blocks and binding neck. It's not a Jazzmaster, it's a Jagmaster because I kept the 24-inch scale. Yeah. So that's what I did with it. I had some gold strap locks left over, I think, although the gold's kind of worn off of them. So I did a bunch of different stuff on this. Anyway, I'm going to do electronics demonstration in a moment. I've just been doing some electronics fine-tuning on it, and we'll see what it sounds like in a minute. So after realizing I had the neck pickup turned off, we're gonna kind of discuss the switching on this, because let's start at the basic. It's basically just a Jazzmaster circuit on it. We have a line, just imagine a line going down the center here, and we have a rhythm circuit up here, and then we have your lead circuit over here. This toggle switch up here, when it's over on this side, you're at the rhythm circuit. This is the volume, this is the tone. They're just little roller wheels you can roll up and down. Over here, if you flip it that way, this goes the lead circuit. You have the toggle switch for your pickups. You have volume. You have the tone. You have two switches here for the tri-modes on the pickups, and then you have this switch which turns the neck pickup off, which allows me to do like the cut Tom Morello thing, kill switch thing with the neck pickup on the rhythm circuit as well as the lead. But it also allows me to have it in phase or out of phase. So all these are 3-way switches down here that do multiple things. Clean tone for the bridge. I mean, you have, it's got kind of that Nirvana thing, you know. So it sounds a lot like Kurt's guitar tone, really, which was one of the things I did like about this guitar originally. So I try to retain the original tone, you know. Yeah, that kind of thing. But the tri-mode switching on it, how it works is if I put it all the way back, if I put it all the way forward, we have a coil split. And then if we put it the other way, it puts the both coils in parallel, so it's like switch is a little greasy. We have the same thing on the neck pickup, you know. Series, coil split, humbucker. So we have all three. And then we have the out of phase option. This is in phase. So it allows me to even have kind of almost a Mustang kind of sound. And I've still got some wiring gremlins I'm still working out. So we have that. We have the rhythm circuit. So you have the rhythm circuit and lead circuit and all that. Anyway, we're just going to kind of demo this one real quick. Show off some of the sounds, mess around with it. It's going to crackle, it's going to make some noise. I'm still working out some electronic bugs on it. I just had to remove a cross ground wire that I had going this way because it was messing up the rhythm circuit. So anyway, we'll get started. There we go. So that was kind of fun. So hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of what could be done with a Jagmaster. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about the just a few other little things and details, some of my personal pet peeves with some of the hardware, of course, with the tuners. I'll probably eventually replace these with something else, but I don't know, probably not. I do like split shaft tuners a lot, but then I could probably do split shaft up here. That'd be kind of cool. Yes, I had to do modifications to this locking nut. As you can see, this is a Chinese Floyd Rose copy. It's licensed. A few critiques of this particular vibrato that I have is, first off, the original pivot posts for it. They were beveled kind of like that on each side, and because the beveling was not angled enough, the bridge, when no string tension was applied, would like pop off the guitar, even with like straight up and down, which is just, you know, ridiculous. You can't have that with a Floyd Rose. The second problem that I had was these string blocks are not particularly in a very tight. Floyd Roses, typically the string blocks are held in a little bit because the tension for the blocks is just a little... the blocks themselves, to say the least, have a little more tension off from the sides because there's a much closer tolerance. This didn't have that, so I fixed it by basically taking a hex wrench to replace the lost block and grinding it down to the right size and then putting it in there. I also drilled this hole out, tried to put a different Floyd Rose collet in there. Now it bar swings kind of freely like Eddie Van Halen's does. That's fine. This Floyd's decked. It's not a pullback one. I did have to move the bridge humbucker forward a little bit because I didn't want to wallow out too much wood here. This is a mistake I used to see on Floyd Rose equipped Jaguar or Floyd Rose equipped guitars in general a lot, especially the old Kramer Focus 3000s. Is that on early Floyds they sometimes routed the humbucker too close to the back, and there wasn't enough wood here to hold it in place strongly enough. So in some of those old Kramers, especially the ones with the old screws that went in for pivot posts instead of, you know, the ones with the collar like these, they actually would cave in slowly as it pressed the wood side, and it would cave into the bridge pickup cavity, and then you have a major repair. That was another thing that I had to deal with. So I had to shift this humbucker a little bit forward to make it fit. And then for the neck, I had to also cut the neck socket a little forward because of the Floyd Rose. That was another problem, even with the old setup. I think a little bit. Floyd Rose, you see with the 25.5, it would actually intonate properly because you can have a little more distance here between the end of the neck and the Floyd. Because as you can see, the Floyd, the intonation adjustments are all right here. These little screws here. And they cause it to have like a 1/8 of an inch or a little more. Well, actually, I think it's more like a 1/4 inch of space here where you can't adjust it closer up like you could on a Strat bridge. And because of that, you can't adjust it right up to the edge. It has this lead-in area there that kind of can screw with your intonation. So you have to take into account that amount of distance between the Floyd Rose needed for all the intonation hardware and the actual end of the neck. So I had to shift the neck forward, unfortunately. I had to basically almost make the wall of this neck slot paper thin, but it actually fits, and it actually fits very snug still. Yeah, wiring this thing was a little tricky, as you can imagine, because this is a 2-pickup dual circuit guitar like a Jazzmaster, but it's got the kind of switching options you'd see on like a Tyler or a Tom Anderson. But yeah, that's pretty much what the whole thing. My goal with this build was to actually have another Floyd Rose guitar in the quiver, and one that I actually quite well liked. And I'm kind of sticking with the offset is my shape. Going back into it, I'm never buying any more new guitars. I'm probably going to be just building from here on out. And right now, I'm doing some stuff like this, like the refinishing, to learn how to refinish well. Because that's always been my weakness as a builder, has been getting it on there, getting the finishing right. Because finishing a guitar is a very, very intense process. And my wife is on the phone again. Very intense process sometimes, and you have to do a lot of sanding. I mean, typically the way I would do it, if I was to take my time, really go through that, I would have put a little more of a color coat in this to fill in the grains a little more, to make them pop more. Then I would have probably done a little less of this green, maybe, if I wanted the grain to show more, and then we put clear coat over it. I also would have probably used an alder body instead of an ash one, but this works just fine. Anyway, the loudness is telling me that's probably time to cut this one through, especially since we're about 30 minutes. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.